Welcome to Friday, October 6, 2023. Your Day Weather Podcast brought to you by Cowboy State Daily, Wyoming's only statewide newspaper. Get your free digital subscription by hitting the subscribe button on cowboystatedaily.com. Well, we will be a bit cool today, a bit chilly and a bit frosty in many areas tonight, but we've got a really nice weekend coming on up. So hit those fall colors this weekend. We should have a beautiful backdrop to get photos of what is left of the color fall season in the high country. We will have high pressure building in behind the cold front that's swinging through the northern plains and areas east of the divide. So Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and probably Tuesday should be Chamber of Commerce like weather across a large part of the western United States. So enjoy these very pleasant weather conditions through early next week. Our next storm system arrives the middle of next week. It's a bit of an unusual situation in terms of the pattern. We need to watch it, especially in the high country of the Central Rockies, especially with hunting seasons in full swing. In many areas of the Rockies, hunters are going to want to pay attention to the weather midweek, especially with this warmer, dry stretch of weather that's coming. That could change rather abruptly towards the middle of next week with this next Pacific storm system. Beautiful shots coming in across the west from not only those changing fall colors, but sunrises and sunsets across the region. You can see here from Torrington looking west. If you look real closely towards the middle of the picture, you can see Laramie Peak. Excellent visibility as we go through the next couple of days. And there's a moose standing out in the middle of a snow squall in the Bighorn Mountains. So just a pattern of the seasons changing. And here's the cold front. You can see it very well in the satellite imagery right here. You can see the low clouds associated with it. Those low clouds go back up into Wyoming, southern Montana, then across the plains. The colder air getting pushed in like this. So it'll be a cool day today. The freezing temperatures will be pushing their way further south overnight tonight into Saturday morning. Many areas under freeze advisories and warnings. And you can see why. The winds aloft coming in right in from the north-northwest, with the main area of low pressure now heading into the upper Great Lakes and southeastern areas of Canada. And here's the big old high. It's going to come in later today and settle in for the weekend. But you can see the cool air behind the front. This is by noon today. Pretty impressive push of colder air. And this will move south and this will move east, covering the central and eastern part of the nation by the weekend. While this area of warmth underneath that high pressure ridge is what's headed eastward. So the cool down is rather temporary for us. And there's the high right on top of the region for the upcoming weekend. This is the precipitation forecast from Saturday morning through Monday morning. Not a lot going on. Pretty quiet out there. Then as we go into next week, this is what we need to watch. We talked about this yesterday. This is the same low that we're seeing now. It gets cut off from the main jet stream and just meanders over portions of Ontario into northeastern areas of Canada, the northern Great Lakes there, and just kind of spins around. It's broken off. We've got a big high in between, and then we have a lot of jet stream energy. The jet stream up here in the North Pacific is gaining strength, which it normally does this time of year. So the lows kind of come in with a bit more of a punch to them. And what basically is happening, this log jam is causing this low to be forced to the southeast towards the Central Rockies. The question, as we mentioned yesterday, is that will it get forced further south, or will it want to just go like this and merge with the low? That's going to dictate where the storm's going to go towards the middle of next week. And what we see in the modeling, if we look at the European model, we've got a closed 500 millibar low over western areas of Colorado by Thursday morning. Basically, it's coming in southeast, getting cut off from the main flow, but there's some connection you can see here between the lows. But this one does have its own identity. And sometimes what will happen is two scenarios, very plausible both, that it will merge with this as this sort of retrogrades back westward and it becomes one large trough, or this stays its own entity. If it stays its own entity, then this is going to be a pretty large weather maker, especially for the mountains, in terms of the threat for significant snow in the high country of Wyoming, Colorado, Utah, the Intermountain West here by Thursday of next week. The European model looks like this, and look at the remarkable similarities between the European and the Canadian models. Very, very similar. There's a little bit more of a merging, a connection between these troughs right here. So the European and the Canadian singing the same tune. The American model, the GFS model, is similar, but it wants to merge the low and have the low track further north. So which one is going to win? We'll see. We'll update you on Monday, but nonetheless, there is going to be some weather coming in the middle of next week, some cooler, wet weather. There'll be a fair amount of cold air available with this system, so the cool down will be pretty good after this nice stretch of weather that's coming our way. Hunters going into the mountains as we get towards the middle of next week, keep an eye on the system because there is that threat for sure that the high country could be looking at some significant snowfall depending on what that low does. In the meantime, enjoy a gorgeous October weekend of weather.